Have you ever thought about the possibility that social media may have an effect on children's mental health? This topic is relevant to you guys because social media is part of everyone's life in one way or another. If you guys have kids, you may want to know more about how this can impact your child's mental health. I have researched this topic and I feel that I have a good grasp on how social media impacts children's mental health. First, I will talk about how the rates of suicide and self-harm have increased as cell phones and social media have increased. Second, we will cover the overuse of social media can lead to mental health issues for children. Finally, we will discuss the growing evidence of the impact social media has on children's mental health. The rate of suicide and self-harm have increased as cell phones and social media have increased. According to Dr. John Torres on Today's Show, he says what's happening is they are seeing more and more people talk about it. More people talk about it and say, hey, I did this and nothing happened. I'm fine, it made me feel better. It starts normalizing then. So other people start thinking, well, maybe that's what I should do if I start feeling a little depressed or a little sad. Later in the show, Dr. Torres goes on to state, social media is probably the biggest contributor because of all the conversations they have with other people and sometimes cyberbullying and things like that. Both of these quotes show how the increase in social media and phones nowadays also increases the risk of suicide and self-harm. The overuse of social media can lead to mental health issues for children. In the article, Social Media and Children's Mental Health, it states in the second paragraph, the report highlighted several risks linked with social media, including cyberbullying, concerns about excessive internet use, sharing of private information, and harmful content such as websites that promote self-harm. Another piece of evidence is stated in the same article. The evidence pointed towards the correlation between extreme use of social media and self-harm effects on young people's well-being. Also, those classified as extreme internet users were more likely to report being bullied, 17.8%, than moderate internet users, 6.7%. Further evidence pointed to a link between periods spent on social media and risks and mental health problems. Many people are worried about the growing evidence of the impact social media has on children's mental health. Matt Hancock states, I am, as a father, very worried about the growing evidence of impact of social media on children's mental health. Later in the article, he goes on to state, unrestricted use of social media by younger children risks being very damaging to their mental health. In paragraph 6, Hancock states that platforms like Instagram and Facebook both share the same policy that you must be 13 years or older to use the app, but neither one of them does anything to police that rule. The article talks about how children tend to get addicted to social media, but one thing that these social media platforms are doing to help this issue is introducing tools which allow users to monitor and restrict their times on these platforms. Today we talked about how rates of suicide and self-harm have increased as cell phones and social media have increased. Secondly, we covered how overuse of social media can lead to mental health issues for children. Finally, we discussed the growing evidence of social media and the impact it has on children's mental health. I hope that after hearing this presentation on the different ways social media impacts children's mental health, you have a better understanding on this topic.